The Hoaxcalls botnet is targeting Symantec's secure web gateways.
Hey Kim, I heard you have a story about Hoaxcalls botnet, which is trying to exploit some sort of web gateways vulnerabilities, basically targeting new victims. Could you elaborate a little bit on that story?
Yes. So the Hoaxcall botnet has been targeting recently the secure Symantec secure web gateway, which is already end of life. And it was end of life 5 years ago, and support ended in 2019. So this goes back to having vulnerable perimeter devices. Hoaxnet was also targeting recently, about a couple of months ago, back in March, it was targeting the Zyzel, I can't pronounce it well, but the Secu manager to um, um, infiltrate that particular parameter device and so forth. And so with this secure web gateway, like I said, it was end of life. This particular botnet would, proxy the traffic, download updates, and so forth. Even during that particular device restarts, this botnet would stay at a stateful rest so that it wouldn't go down. It would continue to denial of service, send out denial of service attacks. It would send out in order to target the secure web gateway for Symantec, it would send out HTTP request or post request with a certain string and to execute. And so with and the researchers that found this noticed that the binaries that were packaged for this botnet used UPX, which is an open source packer for executables. So they would use um, a 4 byte key within the source code, because since it's an open source, you can manipulate it the way however you want it to. And a lot of malware is developed using this packer, the UPX, because it can, since it is open source, there's no, boundaries as to what they can do with it. So another thing is to point out, this is like a deviation of the Mirai source code as well, this Hoaxcall. The difference between the malware that happened with it was not DDoS capable, right? The Mirai variant didn't have DDoS capabilities, but this one has DDoS capabilities, right? Um, so yeah, so this is so this is just a common botnet getting into your perimeter, targeting, targeting the vulnerabilities of your perimeter. So a lot of people aren't upgrading their malware, their perimeter firewalls, certain things that is supposed to guard your perimeter. A lot of people are not, or administrators of those devices are not keeping them up to date. And to have something that's 5 years end of life is
Hmm.
and it's not going to be updated. So when the researchers went back to talk to Symantec, they said that they are not going to be upgrading those devices. So they'll have to upgrade to a newer version of the secure web gateway.
I mean, there's so many IoT botnets that I believe we see almost every day, maybe every other week, some new botnet basically trying to leverage the source code from Mirai, and there are so many variants of it. Um, I think, Mirai is known to use UPX, as well as it also has various capabilities like DDoS capability, as well as using various IoT devices or maybe router kind of devices. I think in this case, it's using the secure gateway as basically one of those devices. And it's being a part of the gateway, it gives you much more visibility into the number of devices, even though there might be one secure gateway. But behind that gateway, there might be other devices they can leverage to basically recruit into the botnet.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And it depends on how it's configured, it depends on how it's configured and what they're actually, targeting, but they're using the botnet as, as to sit there and, spark these DDoS and attacks. And also it, stops, any reboots from happening of the device. So it pretty much takes over. And one other thing is that it only, this is a post execution botnet, right? Or post, I'm sorry, post authentication botnet is that, you have to be authenticated to this device before it can do anything, right? So it's not that it, it's it's not that the extreme vulnerability is that it's end of life, or it has no bug updates and so forth, or vulnerability updates to it. It's just that it has that particular vulnerability where you can get in via authentication and this botnet, and it targets the actual authentication vulnerability of the secure gateway and the firmware that it's running, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it executes. It's a post authentication botnet.
Yeah, I think nevertheless, since the vendor already said there's no support and end of life, it's prudent to basically replace those devices with much more modern and secure alternatives.
Yeah, you've had 5 years, right, to come up with the plan to update it. So I guess it might be a little bit more of an expedited request to do because, like you said, Ganesh, this might be used as a way in the doorway. You get your arm in the crack of the door, and now you can open it and see what else is there, and potentially then wreak havoc. So it definitely sounds like the takeaway is to upgrade those devices.
And so, yeah, so if they're wanting, if the company that was targeted, they would have to upgrade their devices to the latest 5.28 version of Symantec Web Gateway. Otherwise, Symantec is not supporting that vulnerability. They're not going to send out an update or whatever.